welcome to Drop Your Buffs, my new YouTube channel devoted to Survivor and the analysis of the gameplay of one of the coolest shows ever. My name is Nora, and I'm a die-hard Survivor fan, and I've been, sitting around watching Survivor for a long time, and I kind of figured I need to get involved in this internet community with Survivor, so I'm putting together a little analysis show for YouTube. So welcome. This video is just going to kind of be about me and about why I want to do this and some stuff so you get to know me before the new season starts in February. This show is going to be an analysis. It's not going to be a recap. I'm not going to sit here and, read the play-by-play of every little thing that happened. There's already shows like that on YouTube. I don't really care that much about recapping. You guys could just watch Survivor to know what happened, because that's more important anyway. What I'm going to do is sit here and talk to a camera for 10 minutes after every episode and just give you my opinions and what I think should have happened, or what I think was really good that happened, or what I think might happen next. And just talk about, the gameplay, because that's what really interests me. I'm a poli-sci student. I study international relations. So, something that really interests me is power play and alliances. And I'm kind of weird, but I think that, the gameplay in Survivor kind of mirrors what happens in the real world. And I just want to, sit and analyze it a little bit, because I think it's fun. And because none of my friends really like Survivor, so I have no one to talk to about it. So I figured I'll talk to the internet. That'll be a good idea. So I'm just going to tell you some things about me, so you know what you're dealing with here, what kind of Survivor fan. I started watching Survivor about actually only like a little over a year ago. It was season 15, China. I think I saw it popped up on YouTube actually when I was on YouTube, and it was like something to watch. So I was like, I just watched the premiere, and I'm like, this is kind of interesting, because I was bored. I was at school in my dorm room hanging out, and I watched it. I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And I had a friend who's a big Survivor fan, so I asked him. I'm like, I just watched, this episode, and it's kind of interesting, but I don't really get it, because I feel like you kind of need to have started from the beginning to kind of understand everything that's going on, because I feel like every season plays off of the previous seasons. So I asked my friend, I'm like, I'm looking for some TV to watch. This Survivor show sounds really cool. What's an episode, or what's a season that I can watch that's really good? And he's like, okay, you have to watch Pearl Islands. It's like the greatest season ever. So, I downloaded it on the internet, and I watched Pearl Islands, and I think I watched it in about 24 hours. I was hooked. And Pearl Islands is a very different season of Survivor. There's a lot of things that happen on Pearl Islands that we've never seen again. That was the only season where they brought back people that had been voted off already, which was kind of cool, and I kind of wish they'd do it again. And that whole start when they had to go to the village and buy stuff was unique. But it was really cool, and it was like a good season for alliances and betrayals. So I got hooked, And then after I watched that season, I watched Palau in season 9, and then I just went from 9 through to where I was, 15, and I watched season 15 as it was airing. I kept up with it, and then I seriously watched season 9 through season 14 in about 2 weeks, which is a lot of Survivor. And then I started going back and watching seasons before Pearl Islands, but it was harder to find those online. The quality wasn't as good, and I'm still I had to take a break because it was so much Survivor. And I haven't seen Thailand yet. That's the only season I haven't seen in its entirety, and I'm actually just finishing Borneo, which has been really interesting to watch because it's kind of where everything started. So it's been a lot of fun, and I really love Survivor. I've been keeping up with all the newer seasons. I watch Fans versus Favorites religiously, and it was so good. And then I just finished, watching Gabon, which was a great season as well. Not quite as good as Fans versus Favorites or China, but the finale was so thrilling. So yeah, that's how I got into Survivor. I just, on a whim from YouTube, started watching it, and I have been hooked ever since, and I love it. So yeah, I guess I can tell you some of my favorites, my least favorites, so kind of where my opinions and my loyalties lie. My favorite season, I think my favorite season, I have two, I guess, and they're for different reasons. I really like China, And that was the first season that the first episode I ever really watched was from the China season. And I really, my favorite characters, they're kind of characters, kind of people. My favorite contestants from China were Todd and Amanda. And, it's always cool when your favorites make it to the finish. So I really liked that. I really liked how they played it. And it was so exciting with the blindsides and the immunity idols and stuff. So that was really fun to watch China. I also really liked Palau. And I liked Palau for a different reason. I thought it was so crazy how the Oolong tribe completely just died off. They lost like every challenge. And they literally did not make it to the merge. They just had to send Stephanie over because she was the only one left. And it was like unsafe to live by herself. So I really liked Palau because of just how crazy that panned out. And like I didn't really like the finish. Like it got boring. And like I could have cared less, once they merged, if you will. But, it was exciting to see that tribe, that tribe just, like, disintegrate. My least favorite seasons, I hated Vanuatu. I almost didn't finish it. I was like, this is awful. And it was just because the people they got on the show weren't that interesting. Like, I didn't like any of them, really, except for Eliza. And only because I feel like if I was on Survivor, I would be Eliza. I feel like we're very similar people. But other than that, like, there was nothing, like, that interested me. The final two were icky. It was really hard for me to, like, follow through that whole season because it was just, like, the people weren't that interesting. I also didn't like Fiji, and for similar reasons. Like, there was no one I really liked on that show. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, man, dreams. But I was like, not really feeling it. Sorry. My favorite winners, I have two, and they're for different reasons as well. I loved Todd. I thought he played the game amazingly, and like he was a real Survivor fan from China, like Todd from China. I also, and don't judge me, but I love Rob and Amber, so I loved that Amber won All Stars, and it was only like, she didn't play the game as hard as Rob did or anything, but I just loved watching them and like how they actually managed to go from start to finish and win was ridiculous. Like, they played the game hard, and so I loved that those two made it to the finish. Not necessarily that she was the winner, but just that they made it to the finish. And so sue me. I'm a Rob and Amber fan. My least favorite winners, Visepia from Marquesas and Earl from Fiji. Both of them, I just felt like they weren't that exciting. Earl was more exciting than Visepia. But it was just like all of the exciting people kind of died out, and then there was just these kind of boring people left in the end, and they won. And like Earl, yeah, he did win like with all the votes, and that was cool. But like I wasn't feeling him from the start, so yeah, who cares? Favorite contestants. Every season I have a favorite, but there's some people that really stood out to me. I've already mentioned Todd like 3 times. I loved Todd from China. He was really fun. Boston Rob and Amber. I don't know why I like them. And I think I liked them more when they were on The Amazing Race than when they were on Survivor. But I do love them for strange reasons. I loved Rob C. from the Amazon. I thought he was hilarious, especially in the Amazon. Not so much on All Stars. Big Tom. Just because he's hilarious and that accent is ridiculous. And I really liked Stephanie from Palau. She was the only Oolong to make it to the merge. And I think I only liked her because she was a strong woman and a kind of good role model for girls. She was boring in Guatemala, kind of crybaby and stuff, but I liked her better in Palau. Least favorites? Everyone's like dying, like, oh, I love Rupert. Rupert's great, but I really didn't like Rupert ever, I don't know why they gave him $1 million for free. I don't see why people ever liked him. I thought he was annoying. I didn't really like Yao Man. Like, some of these people that people just, like, loved, I could care less. Yeah, so I'm running out of tape. That's me. I love Survivor, and I'm going to sit here and talk at you about it for 10 minutes every week. Hopefully you enjoy it, and the next time you hear from me, I guess, I'll talk to you when they put up the new contestants online, and I can just tell you first impressions and what I think about these people. But until then, see you later.